Hello again. This time it's naan bread. We're going to make it for you. If you like what you're seeing, please hit the subscribe button and give us a like. We appreciate your support. So to start with naan bread, we've got 4.5 cups of all-purpose flour and a 1.5 teaspoons full of diamond crystal kosher salt. We've got a 1/4 cup of water with a packet of yeast in it that's been sitting for a few minutes. We have 3/4 cup of yogurt, a couple of tablespoons full of olive oil, and some milk. So here we go. Into a mixing bowl we go with all of this, gracefully and gently, and then we're just going to give that a minute to mix up the salt and the other. Anytime you use a standing mixer, you've got to knock the sides down to make sure that things mix up properly. Okay, from there, the next thing we're going to add is our yeast. And you can see that the yeast is active in a 1/4 cup of water. And in that goes. I'm just going to give it a little clean up to make sure that we get it all. Next, we're going to go in with 3/4 cup of yogurt. Next is 3/4 cup of warmed milk. And finally, 2 tablespoons full of olive oil. Now we're going to just let that mix. It's going to come together as a dough. If you don't have a standing mixer at home, you can do this by hand with your own bowl. Just use a big bowl so you don't make a mess. And it's easier to do it that way. I'm going to give it about another teaspoon or 2 of olive oil. We're just going to give it about an hour to an hour and a half to rest. We're going to cover it. And we're going to put it in an oven with the oven light on. And that's just to keep it a little bit warmer than the actual room temperature. So we'll be back when that's finished rising. Okay, so we can see how this dough has risen pretty nicely. It's a nice soft dough, and it's a little bit oily. So we're going to just knock the air out of it quickly. This will take a minute, but not long, really. Okay, now we've got some very finely minced garlic here that I've grated up. And I'm just going to mix that in. And then I'm going to hit it with a little bit more olive oil, not too much. And we'll start to work this over again. Now I'm just going to work until this feels even and the garlic has been mixed through it. Now we're just going to put that in a round, and we're going to knock it into a few pieces. And we'll just let these rest, and we can just kind of stretch them out a little bit. Okay, so we're just going to give them a little coating of oil so that they don't dry out while they rise, and that the cling film I'm going to put on doesn't stick to them. Then also we'll have them not sticking to our hands and the rolling pin while we're flattening them out. We're all oiled up. And we'll come back in a few minutes, about 30, once they've had a chance to rise. Okay, these have been resting for a while. They've risen a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to take and roll them into something looking like a naan bread. Okay. Now, we'll take them over here and drop them in this dry cast iron skillet. There we go. Now, in about a minute or two, you're going to see it'll start to puff up in the middle where the heat is hitting it. So the bubbles, you can see them starting to appear, but they should be all the way even across. We're not quite there yet. We can give it a little flip. Oh, nicely. Okay, put another minute on the other side and we should be good to go. Okay, so we weren't as happy as we were hoping with that first method. So we've changed things up a little bit. We're going to go with another method that has worked really well in the past for me, and that's a 500-degree oven and a pizza stone. So we get a little bit of olive oil on our hands and we just spread it out, and I think give it a little stretch, almost like it was pizza dough. And then in she goes. Here's the finished product. Here's what we've got. It's cooked more evenly. It's cooked more thoroughly. It's a little bit crispy on the bottom. As soon as we bring it out, we slather it with butter. And there it sits. Another one's in the oven, and that will be naan bread for tonight. Thanks again for joining us, and if you like what we're doing, show some love. Thank you.